Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor, and today I'm knocking out the very last of the Ghost Survivor scenarios in the remake of Resident Evil 2. Now, this one had to be unlocked after completing all of the other Ghost Survivor scenarios, and this hidden scenario is titled No Way Out. And this one is going to be the most difficult. Now, the Ghost Survivor modes is an extra feature in the Resident Evil 2 remake. These scenarios allow the player to take control of characters who died in the main story mode, and whenever we control them, we get to guide them to a hypothetical alternate fate where they could have lived. Previously, we got to control the gunsmith Robert Kendo, who died during Leon's playthrough. We also got to play as Catherine Warren, who was found dead by Sherry and Claire, and then there was also the USS Agent Ghost, who both the main characters got to find deceased in the Umbrella Secret Laboratory. Once I beat all of those and got them out of the way, I unlocked an additional scenario, No Way Out. And in that scenario, I get to control the final deceased character, and that is going to be Sheriff Daniel Cortini. And besides maybe Police Lieutenant Marvin Branna, who unfortunately does not get a Ghost Survivor mode, this might be the deceased character most deserving of an alternate scenario where they could have lived. After all, this man gets killed just a few minutes into every single playthrough that anyone has ever done ever in the Resident Evil 2 remake. He does not go out in a badass way, he leaves behind no memorable legacy in Resident Evil, and he does not even say or do anything all that interesting before he dies. He purely just exists to die and introduce the players to the very first zombie of the game. Well, Sheriff Cortini deserves better than to just be a forgettable, disposable character today. Instead of just letting him die and add to the casualty count, we are going to be guiding him to survival, which is going to be a tall task. But more on that in a moment. First, let's go ahead and read his summary before we get started. And it says, here is a tale of a future that never was, of a night that never dawned. Sheriff Daniel Cortini got the report while he was in his car. What? They almost got eaten? Recent headlines came to mind. Cannibal on the loose. Horror strikes again. Criminal still not caught. He took his hands off the wheel. They were dripping with sweat. He arrived at the gas station mentioned in the report. He was pale with nerves, and he did not notice. The breeze blowing in through the car was tinged with the scent of blood. And so we begin. Let's go ahead and let the film roll. So back to what I was saying about the sheriff's survival being a tall task. This scenario is different from the others where we had a starting point and an ending location that we had to reach. Here we start off in the gas station and we're also going to end in the gas station. Our win condition is to kill all 100 zombies. They enter the gas station usually in waves of about 5 zombies at a time. The next wave won't start until the previous one is over. And we start off with an infinite ammo pistol, but that is going to be insufficient as the zombie types increase in difficulty. Now we start off fighting common zombies, but we eventually get poison gas zombies, palehead zombies, and armored zombies. We will also get zombies with canisters that we can shoot that will explode and then kill all the zombies in the immediate area. So timing those explosions is going to be very important. We also get backpack zombies occasionally, and they will have either healing items or new weapons. And again, we have to be careful about not wasting our inventory space, and especially not wasting the heavy weapon ammunition too early on zombies that we could have just killed with the pistol. Those heavy weapons like the spark shots and the rocket launchers, they are going to be super important for the hardest waves towards the very end of this scenario. As you may have seen at the very beginning whenever I selected this mode, I have come very close to winning by killing 95 out of 100 zombies. But this gameplay was recorded at a time whenever I had not beaten the No Way Out scenario yet. This one definitely took the most attempts out of all of the extra modes to beat. So let's go ahead and see how exactly that came to be. I am just walking this last zombie into a specific position so that the canister drops in a good spot to eventually kill off a group of zombies later. So that was the first 10 zombies of the scenario, all of which were normal zombies with the exception of one canister zombie and one backpack zombie. And zombies 11 through 20 start mixing in a bunch of armored zombies as well. So my shots are going to have to get a little bit more exact. I kill off as many as I can before they get through the freezer door, and then I try to pick off all the other ones around the gas station elsewhere. In the process, I try not to get cornered, but eventually that does not work out. Now, getting cornered is terrible no matter what, but it's definitely worse with zombies with very limited vulnerable areas like the armored zombies. Fortunately, the solution to my problem just walked through the front door. There is now a canister zombie in the gas station. I try my best to shoot the canister and kill as many of the zombies cornering me as I can, but I end up missing and hitting the other zombies a bunch, but eventually, I finally get the explosion and a bunch of dead zombies. Now the blast was also enough to take me to the ground, but it did not cause me any damage, so no big deal. Now, zombie number 20 is going to be the very last of what I consider this wave to be. And it is just going to be a backpack zombie exiting the freezer. A flood of new zombies will come with the next wave that comes immediately after killing this backpacker, and I would consider that wave to be numbers 20 through 30, which is going to start including poison gas zombies. While I do have a blue herb and I could heal myself of a poison affliction, I really cannot afford to use it during this wave. Instead, I need to hold out for a green, red, blue herb later on. That way I get a full heal and damage resistance whenever things start to get really crazy. Taking damage here is just really too early, and also getting poisoned here and having to heal immediately, that may as well be a reset. So I am just going to be keeping my distance and killing the poison gas zombies as fast as possible. And on a regular basis, I'm going to be moving around and trying to prevent myself from getting cornered. That way I cannot inadvertently kill a poison gas zombie too close. And the reason for that being, whenever you do kill them, they explode into a puff of poisonous gas. And if you are too close, even if they do not bite you, you will still be poisoned by the proximity. So as you can tell, things are starting to be a little bit more specific and I have to be a bit more cautious. And while I take a moment to carefully tiptoe around the remaining fuming zombies, this is where we really get to see the variety in the enemies that this scenario is going to be throwing at us. It makes sense because this was the very last scenario that we could only unlock after defeating all the other ones. So it's understandable that it would take all the gimmicks, all the crazy zombies, the unique ones from the previous scenarios, and then suddenly throw them all into one where we have to fight them all in crazy amounts in various waves. And right now, while not necessarily easy, this scenario is being kind to me in a way. It is sending the zombies at me in almost uniform groups. Like, we got a wave of basically just armored zombies a moment ago, then we got a wave of almost only poison gas zombies, but that's not going to continue. Where things start to get really tricky with this scenario is when the different types of unique zombies are mixed together, and then you get weird combos like having armored and poison gas zombies. They start coming after you, and somewhere in the middle of that wave you also have a palehead zombie kicking down the door and then suddenly just showing up and causing you all kinds of problems because they take a while to kill. And I am just going to quickly pause the game and check my notes on what wave comes next because I've done this a few times and failed many times up to this point, and started to write down what zombies started coming at what number point throughout the scenario. So yeah, the No Way Out scenario just kind of gives us everything that all the other scenarios built up to and then throws them all at us at the exact same time. And it can get really chaotic very quickly, especially if you do not save any healing items for later or you do not have the big weapons left over. And without those big weapons, taking out the crazy zombie combinations becomes extremely difficult. The zombie wave for 31 through 40 is mostly going to be just rapid-fire normal zombies, and 2 of those zombies are going to be wearing exploding canisters. One of which I go ahead and utilize so I can take out the majority of the mob in one explosion, and then I just kill the second canister zombie so the canister it's wearing drops to the ground in front of the front door, so that I can use the explosion later on. And since I took down the canister zombie earlier by the freezer door, that now means I have 2 different explosive items on the front door and the freezer door covering the 2 main entrances for the zombies. So later on when there are a bunch of them, I have those as options to very quickly dispose of some otherwise really challenging high numbers or high difficulty zombies. And then zombie number 40 is going to be the very first palehead zombie of No Way Out. While I was running around the gas station, I ended up picking up a spark shot from one of the backpacks. And the spark shot is going to be my favorite weapon for getting around the regeneration of the paleheads. Overall, it is very useful for killing those very unique zombies. And if you're lucky later on in the scenario, the palehead zombies start to come in waves of 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 or more. And if you're shooting one of them with a spark shot, occasionally you can end up electrocuting more than one. Just depends on how close they are together. And anytime you can get a 2-for-1 kill on the palehead zombies, it's a very good day. Their regeneration can make them a little bit annoying to deal with. Speaking of annoying, I was only 1 or 2 shots away from killing that backpack zombie, but instead he closes the gap between me and him, grabs me, forces me to use my flash grenade, and unfortunately I'm now without a defensive weapon much sooner than I wanted to be. And using that flash grenade may have been a mistake, and maybe taking the damage would have just been better. Kinda hard to say, but I elected to keep my health. And being swarmed by armored zombies, I panic a little bit and I decide to go ahead and blow up one of the canisters at the very front of the building, and I do so at point blank range. The explosion takes me to the ground, but also kills the zombies that were entering through the front door. Unfortunately, the other ones that were already inside the gas station were not close enough to the blast to be killed. So I still need to deal with them. I managed to take down 44 zombies before one finally managed to damage me. And I was bitten by a backpack zombie I did not even know had entered through the rarely used storage room door that was directly behind me. So after I was attacked, I bailed out and I found myself surrounded by armored zombies in pretty much every direction. So I knew the pistol was not going to be ideal for this situation anymore. So I switched to the shotgun to quickly take them down. I picked that up somewhere along the way from one of the backpacks, and the spread from the buckshot helps whenever dealing with the armor because it's a wide enough shot that's bound to hit some sort of a vulnerable area on these guys. And even though I think that switching to the shotgun was a good idea, I still end up making a bunch of mistakes. For one, the very first armored zombie I take out with the shotgun, I take out way too closely because it happens to be a poison gas zombie, so it explodes into a cloud of poisonous gas, and now I am poisoned. And I take a moment to consider it, but I do decide to go ahead and use the green, red, blue herb combination. That way I fully heal myself, I get rid of the poison status, and I now have a damage resistance and an immunity to poison, although it's temporary. But then I also panic and I think that I'm surrounded a little bit too much, and I go ahead and shoot the last remaining canister on the ground, which does kill some of the zombies around me, but definitely not as many as it could have if I had just been a little bit more patient. So yeah, it could be going a little bit better. But one of the benefits of using that green, red, blue herb, I now have immunity to poison for a short period of time, so I do not have to worry about the proximity poison that comes with killing those purple zombies a little bit too closely. So I can be a little bit more carefree now after all the screwing up a moment ago, although I'm still going to be running away from these guys pretty consistently, that way I avoid getting cornered. Which this wave only has the 2 armored purple zombies and the 1 common zombie crawling on the ground, so getting cornered would have been kind of hard to do. It almost would have been impressive if I managed to put myself in a corner with so few zombies, but hey, I do not manage to do that, and I managed to take out the last of those 3 before the new wave starts. Speaking of which, the new wave is when I start having to deal with multiple palehead zombies in the room at the exact same time. I immediately go and cut off the one at the front door, but there are still 2 or 3 more in the area that I need to deal with. And I need to do that very quickly because since they take a long time to kill, other zombies can come in and swarm me and surround me pretty quickly. You can already see that happening because I am surrounded and I have to resort to using the shotgun to kill the zombie that's right in front of me who will bite me very quickly if I screw this up. And then I have to get out of that corner before I have to resort to being damaged by other zombies. And I still have to take out a few different palehead zombies, so taking damage this early on, well, I guess not that early, we're over 50 zombies into this challenge. But still, taking damage here is not going to be ideal because things only get harder and I really need to conserve all of the healing items that I've acquired and will acquire going forward. I would say waves 60 through 80 are probably the worst ones where I really need to be able to heal myself. And of course I'm talking about not taking damage, and then I immediately take a little bit of damage from that zombie biting me in the shoulder as I'm shooting the other zombie with the canister on his back. I really wanted to just kill that canister zombie so I could position the explosive in a way that's going to be really beneficial to me later. And boom. Okay, yep, that was very helpful for me because as you saw, there were just a bunch of zombies right there by the front door, and that canister pretty much takes out all of them. I would say more so even than the weapons and the healing items, getting those canisters in the right spots is the biggest difference maker in this challenge. Especially when we're talking about taking out the palehead zombies and the armored zombies as well in a huge mob like that. Those canisters are just going to make your life a lot easier. And I am just running around and checking the backpacks to see which ones and which areas contain the weapons I'm going to need later. Most notably, we're talking about things like the rocket launcher. But as I am doing that, I find myself getting surrounded by almost fully armored zombies wearing backpacks. So I kind of end up cornering myself down one of the aisles, and I have to switch to the spark shot, that way I can take out the fully armored zombies because it is really effective against them. The alternative would be trying to get headshots against them with either my pistol or the submachine gun, and, well, I think I would just rather be sure that the spark shot does the trick, because one shot from it should kill them no problem as long as nothing interrupts the charging up process. And right here, I was really trying to kill the canister zombie so the canister would drop on the ground to be used later, but he was not cooperating and he just refused to go to the ground and die. So instead, once all the other zombies for this wave got close to me, I went ahead and shot the canister, blew it up, and then killed all of them. Not the most efficient use of that canister, but at least I'm not taking any unnecessary damage. And after that explosion, I went ahead and used the spark shot's very last shot to take out the last of the armored zombies, and that just leaves one more zombie for this wave. And I deliberately keep that one alive for a moment longer so I can go check more of the backpacks and look for more healing items. Because at this point, after so many zombies killed, one of the backpacks should have a red herb, a green herb, and a flash grenade. And I want to collect those herbs, that way I can make a green, red, blue combination. That's going to be super important for a full heal, especially as I am running out of my damage resistance and my poison immunity because that time is almost up. So I definitely need to be able to kick off another one of those whenever I get damaged or poisoned. And other than just healing items, I'm also looking for another spark shot because there should be another one around here somewhere, and as you have been seeing, that is my preferred method for dealing with armored zombies and palehead zombies. So I do not want to kick off the very next wave without that in my inventory. And after we start running out of the spark shot ammunition, I'm going to be creeping ever so much more closely to using that rocket launcher, but there has to be a very specific point in time whenever I pick it up, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about whenever things start to get really hectic. And after I get done collecting those items, I take out the very last zombie for this wave, and I kick off the next one. My temporary poison immunity has already run out, so you're going to see me running around the gas station as I try to kill off the last zombie for this wave. That way, whenever he inevitably explodes into a poisonous gas, I do not get poisoned. Even though I do have a method for curing myself of that poison, I would rather wait until later on as we enter the very last phase of this whole challenge. And later on is when I would prefer to use that healing item because then I should have damage resistance and poison immunity for pretty much the remaining waves. And then I don't have to worry about being poisoned or taking too much damage too quickly for the remainder of the run. Now at this point, we have killed over 70 zombies, which means we're going to be dealing with 2 palehead zombies coming through the front door at the exact same time, as well as common zombies going through the storage room door directly behind that point as well. I'm going to be prioritizing taking out the palehead zombies as fast as possible, but that also leaves me open to getting surrounded very quickly due to the back door behind me, flooding in a bunch of additional zombies. And of course that leads to me getting damaged because they do surround me and they do bite me and they take me into critical red health. I then debate whether or not I want to use the 2 green herbs or if I want to use the green, red, blue herb. And ultimately I decided to use the green, red, blue one because I want that damage resistance and that poison. I'm just going to have to make it work for the remaining 25-ish zombies remaining that I have to kill. And then I accidentally shoot the canister on the back of the canister zombie and make him explode, basically just killing him as opposed to killing a group of zombies, which is very wasteful and unfortunate, but that's alright, we're going to try and make it work. We still have a surplus of backpacks with heavier weapons within them all around the gas station, so we're still not in bad position to try and take out these more difficult zombies. Although I still would have liked to have had that explodable canister around. I started using the submachine gun to quickly take down the numbers of some of the bigger groups of zombies that were not armored, and then I immediately switched to the handgun to try picking off the remainder of the common zombies. Just trying to conserve what good ammunition I have for the more difficult enemies. Speaking of which, I have a wave of armored zombies closing in on me, so I'll run back towards the last of the remaining common zombies that I saw earlier. I used the last of my submachine gun ammunition on it, and then used the handgun to pick it off. I just wanted to take out that last common zombie, that way I was free to run all the way around the store without being interrupted, and get away from those armored zombies. The last thing I wanted to do was end up getting cornered by them, especially as they have very few vulnerabilities for me to hit and then get out of that cornered situation. But I kind of screwed that plan up because I ran around the gas station but ran directly into a bunch of poison gas zombies. So now I find myself somewhat cornered by the poison gas zombies on one side and then armored zombies on the other. And I'm eyeballing that flash grenade really hard right now because I'm kind of concerned that I might not have a good way out of this situation. I resort to using the spark shot on one of the armored zombies, that way I can hopefully clear a path, which I kind of do, but I'm just a little bit too late in doing so, because right as I kill the armored zombie, there is a clear path ahead of me, but I cannot run to it before one of the other armored zombies catches me from behind and bites me in the neck. Then after that, a common zombie blocks the previously clear path, and then he also grabs me and bites me. And then a palehead zombie decides to join in on the fun and also bites me. So I'm taking damage really quickly and I'm in a really bad situation. And even though I was considering it earlier, I really did not want to use the flash grenade just yet. But as I continue to stack up damage and there's also palehead zombies being introduced to the horde now, I really have to consider it because I'm not really finding myself in a good situation at the moment. So in the end, I do use the flash grenade, all the zombies are stunned. and I started immediately running around the gas station, wasting no time in finding these stunned palehead zombies and killing them off first. I don't really care about the common zombies, I can deal with them. But I really wanted to reduce the number of the palehead regenerators. So even though I did not want to use the flash grenade, I was going to make the most of the fact that I did end up using it. Unfortunately, as I was making my way through the last of the zombies for this wave, I do get caught by one of the common zombies. They bite me again, and I fall into red critical health, and I am forced to use the very last of my current healing items. So as I only have about 20 more zombies to kill, things get really challenging without a way to regenerate my health. This is made even worse by the fact I get bit 2 more times immediately after healing, and I'm already in orange health. But fortunately, my lack of healing items is very brief. I do find 2 more healing items in a backpack, a green herb and a blue herb. So even though I don't have much, I at least have something to work with. I then go ahead and burn the green herb and then run past the zombies to the backpacks in the back of the station. I'm just looking for any upgrades and weapons that I can find, and I settle on getting 2 submachine guns. I go ahead and equip the first of those, and I go ahead and take out the first palehead zombie as fast as I can with that rapid fire. And then I switch to the second submachine gun after I burn through that ammunition, and I start making my way through the common zombies, just trying to deplete their big numbers as fast as possible. I end up taking down 1 common zombie, and then I also end up taking out 2 armored zombies because the rapid fire happened to hit all the vulnerable areas I needed to in order to kill them, so that's very fortunate for me. And being out of that ammunition, I go ahead and get rid of the submachine guns from my inventory, switch to equipping my handgun, and then I run to the front of the gas station, and it's finally time to pick up that rocket launcher. I'm very confident I can use the handgun to pick off the last of the zombies for this wave, but once we hit about 85 zombies killed, that's when things get really crazy with a bunch of armored zombies, palehead zombies, and just probably the worst wave of the entire run. And that is when I want that rocket launcher. We are so close to the end with only about 15 zombies left to kill that I intend to just use the explosions from those rockets to decimate everything in proximity to me. I purposely avoided using the rocket launcher any sooner than then, because I wanted that to be the finale. I wanted that to be what I finished off every other remaining zombies with. That way the worst that this mode could throw at me just gets blown up instantly. To try making that a bit easier, I'll go ahead and start shooting at the palehead zombies towards the back of the gas station. I either wanted to kill them with the pistol or at least slow them down substantially, because whenever they are regenerating, they become super slow. I do not end up killing either of them with the pistol, but I do slow them down a bunch. I switch to the spark shot, and then I go ahead and take out one of them. I was really hoping I could take out 2, because sometimes when they are side by side together, the electrocution will take out multiple, but that does not happen here. And after using up the very last of my spark shot ammunition, I run to the back of the gas station to pick up the flamethrower. I don't love using the flamethrower. Sometimes that damage over time just takes a little bit too long, but we are getting close to the very end of this whole challenge mode, and they are pretty decent against the palehead zombies at a bit of a distance. So I'll go ahead and grab that as kind of a worst case scenario if I happen to run out of all the rocket launchers and I still have a bunch of palehead zombies wandering around or something like that. Speaking of which, as a palehead zombie approached me, I went ahead and used the very first of my rockets, and I end up killing 3 zombies with the blast radius. So we're down to about 11 left, and I want to use that last rocket whenever I'm surrounded as a way of getting out of a seriously bad problem. And it turns out I was wrong. I thought my damage resistance and poison immunity would last for the remainder of the challenge mode, but I get bit and I get poisoned, so I'm actually in a pretty bad spot, so it's looking like it's about time for me to use that last rocket. And that explosion kills 8 zombies, leaving me with 4 to go. I use a blue herb to cure my poison, and unfortunately I'm in red critical health, so things are not looking great even though I'm really close. And then I quickly open up the backpack next to me, and it turns out that backpack contained a green herb and a red herb, and I still have 1 blue herb left. And at that point, I knew I was going to win the no way out scenario, because I could combine all those, fully heal, have damage resistance, and immunity to poison, and there are only 3 zombies left. Being equipped with the flamethrower, being able to fully heal, and also being able to resist their damage, I could not envision a scenario where I could possibly lose at this point. I knew I was going to finally beat this really difficult scenario. Like, I cannot describe how excited I was when I opened up that backpack and realized that there were herbs in there. I had no idea there were any healing items left to pick up. So once I saw those, I immediately grabbed those as quickly as I could, and just, there was this huge feeling of relief because I had the surplus of weapons to finish the job. I just did not know if I had enough health to survive everything, but once I eliminated that problem, this was a very stress-free finale to the scenario. And that is it. We got the Hell of a Sheriff achievement, and in this alternate reality scenario, Leon still shows up to the gas station. But instead of finding Claire and shooting the zombie behind her, Leon finds Sheriff Daniel Cortini post-zombie siege and saves him instead. That leads to both of them taking the sheriff car away from the gas station and away to safety. So in the end, that is how the man who had the misfortune of being zombie fodder every single time you started a new game finally got to be an unstoppable protagonist and survive a 100 zombie attack. I personally think that is pretty awesome, and I really thought this was a fun challenge. Now, this is the very last Ghost Survivor scenario, though, so I hope you enjoyed getting to see how all those reimagined histories unraveled. I mean, I definitely did. Next, I'll be looking to edit and post my S+ rank playthroughs as Claire and Leon for both of their scenarios. So be on the lookout for that if that sounds interesting to you. Until then, though, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to check out the other things I have on the Thor's Entertainment channel. I do have other Resident Evil 2 related videos. I also have a playthrough of the Resident Evil 1 remake. And then I have other videos related to other games as well in case you want to check those out too. So yeah, thank you again for watching the video, take care, and hopefully I will see you next time.